All right, we're doing equations, variables on both sides. This is our second time because we got interrupted by an announcement. We're going to have variables on both sides, okay? The number one thing we're going to want to do today is this arrow right here. We're going to want to get our letters left, okay? That's our goal today. When you see letters that are not where they're supposed to be, you need to move them. So when I look at number 1, I see that we have a 5x and a 2x. Which of these is on the wrong side, the 5 or the 2? I think the 2 is on the wrong side, and so let's move this 2x, okay? You almost want to think about it like you got a pile of laundry, right? And whoever's at home, mom, dad, grandma, whoever's at home is saying, hey, get all your laundry in a pile, please, right? This laundry is in the wrong spot. You're going to have to put it in a pile, okay? Now, if we want to move the 2x, how do we move a 2x? Just like yesterday, just like all year basically, we're going to be moving back and forth using addition and subtraction, and we're going to finish every question with dividing. So we're not dividing until the very end. That means we're going to use subtraction, again, just like yesterday. Now, here's what I would really recommend. Organization is super important. Make sure that you have x's on these -2's. Make sure you have those x's there because we're trying to move the 2 and the x. So put your x's there. Okay, now, what is 2 minus 2? 0. 2x's minus 2x's is going to be the same thing. It's going to be 0. Okay? That means that we've moved the stuff we need to move. Now, we just need to collect what we have left. What's 5x minus 2x? $5 minus $2, it's going to be $3. Let's make sure we have our equal sign. And then anything that we didn't mess with just gets to come down, which is a normal, regular old 3, a positive 3. How do we finish every question? Easy, divide by 3, divide by 3. And who can help me out? 3 divided by 3? 1. That's right. Anything divided by itself is 1. I don't expect number 1 to be difficult really at all, okay? It's almost the same exact process as yesterday, except for we have some x's there, okay? Now, just to fill in our notes at the top, using inverse operations, we're going to move all letters to the left. Okay? That's our goal. Letters going to the left. Question number 2. Line down the equal sign. Find your x's. A little bit more interesting than yesterday. We're going to have a couple different piles of x's now. We want to move the 4 or move the 7? Move the 7. All right? And if we want to move the 7, how are we going to move the 7 with an opposite operation? Okay, I like that. Now let's make sure we get this right. We're going to subtract 7 on both sides, but I want to make sure that we subtract 7x from both sides. So let's be really picky and make sure that we have an x. Now, on the right, I want to stack things that match up. So should I be putting the minus 7x in the A or B spot? B. That minus 7x should be in the B spot, okay? This is not a super important technique yesterday, but it's going to get more and more important as we continue, okay? You want to always stack up like terms. This is the 7x column, and so everything in this column should have x's. This looks pretty good, and just like we decided, 7x's minus 7x's is 0. So put a little check. We moved it. Excellent. Let's wrap this question up. We should be done in like 20 seconds. All right. What's 4x's minus 7x's? -3x's. Put an equal sign, and what is left over? 12. And then we're going to finish with divide. Divide by -3, divide by -3, and we're going to end up with x equals -4. Now, to be honest, these first two questions are like baby step questions. When we have a classwork today, these first two are too easy. Honestly, they're not even really questions like this on the classwork, okay? Questions 3, 4, 5, 6, these are the questions that you need to see, okay? Questions 3.
Any students on A, B, or 100 hall.
Here we go, last one. Question 3 has 4 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are what we need to handle. These 4 terms. Okay, these are the types of questions that we're going to see. We want to identify our x's. I see that we have a 6x's and a -4x's. Which one needs to move? Of course, the -4. Now pause for just a second before we go any further. Okay? Pause for just a second. We have 4 terms now. Okay? For this question, we're going to end up with 3 steps to find our solution. Okay? Just 3. Up at the top, letters left, not quite as, much of a stress today, but the other thing we want to focus on is numbers to the right. And so, if we look at these 4, we're going to need to do 2 steps of organizing. One of them is moving the -4. What else are we going to want to move? This -7. This -7 also needs to be moved. Okay? Now, we can do these in any order, but Mr. Collier, I'm telling you, here's the best thing I can do, the best advice I can give you. Move the letters first, okay? The reason we always want to move the letters first is because equations with 1 stack of letters are very familiar. For example, these equations with 1 stack of letters, we already know how to do. So as soon as we get these questions to have only 1 stack of letters, it's going to be 100% review material, okay? So I would move the x's first every time, okay? I'm going to move this -4x, all right? So let me ask you this question. We have kind of 4 columns here, A, B, C, and D. When I move this -4x by putting a +4x, what are the 2 letters where I need to put +4x? You are correct. A and D. I need a +4x in the D column so that it's going to match up with my x's. And the other one is going to be column A, +4x. Okay? I mean, basically, once you are moving things around, you always want to match like terms with like terms, for sure. So I like how you use like terms. That's a very mathy way to say it. I'm going to put a nice bar across the top. And here's what I'll say. This line seems to be the difference between students who are good at this right away and the students who kind of struggle for a little bit, okay? We want to make sure that the stuff that goes on this line is going to make a normal math equation. We want to make sure that we still have at least 1 pile of x's, we still have an equal sign, and we didn't forget anything, okay? So let's see this. The -4 + 4, 0. We moved it. Nice. Figured that out. What about the 6x + 4x? 10x. I'll tell you right now, so many students, they don't write the x, okay? And if you don't write the x, you're going to have a problem, okay? So we don't just have a 10. You were 100% right, and I like that you said 10x. Now we need to bring 3 more things down. The first thing we need to bring down, anybody got it?
Yeah, I got
The minus 7.
Equals 13.
We got to bring down the equals.
Gotta add 7.
We got to bring down the 13. You're right on the next step. You're right on the next step. If you can get to this step, you're going to be in good shape. Nurse real quick. Okay, make a E-haul pass. Okay, now that we're this far, we still need to move the 7. I already heard, we need to add 7 to both sides. Let's make sure that we put things where they need to go. You're 100% right. 10x equals 20. And we're going to finish with x equals 2. Now, something to think about looking at this is that if we cover up the first 20 seconds, this question right here is a normal old question. We literally took a quiz yesterday with questions exactly like this. So the mindset that you want to have is that these questions have 10 seconds worth of work and then they look exactly like yesterday. So we're not learning a lot of new stuff. We're learning one small start. The rest of it is normal. Did you make it? Okay. So, question 5. Put a line down the middle. I'm going to highlight my X's. Do me a favor. Think about what 2 terms need to move. If you feel confident enough to start, you're welcome to start. But at least write move on top of 2 different terms. Let's see here. Did that work? Go ahead. All right, that really shouldn't take very long. What are the 2 terms that we need to move? We need to move the -7, and we need to move the 13x. You are correct. I heard the perfect answer right away. And I always recommend that you move which one first? Let's handle our x's first, right? If we can get to only having 1 pile of x's, we're going to be in good shape. Let's move this -13x minus 13x. Let's make sure that we stack these things up the way that we need to stack them up. Let's make sure we stack them up. So I've got my -13 and my -13 right underneath all of my x columns. That's going to give me 13 minus 13 is 0. Check. The first thing has been moved. Again, this seems to be the line where the organized kids do well and the I don't want to write stuff kids kind of struggle. Okay? On this next line, 5x minus 13x is equal to -8 what? X. Make sure you have the x. I'm telling you, some students are going to raise their hand during the classwork today. They're going to say, I'm stuck. I don't know what's going on. And all I'm going to say is, where's the x? Where's the x? Nope, it's the notes. Now we need to bring down 3 more things. Bring down the -7. Bring down the equal sign. Bring down the 1. And at this point, if you cover the first 20 seconds of the question, this looks like the work we already did today. There's an x with an 8 and a 7. We already identified that the 7 needs to move, so let's move that. Plus 7 plus 7. Obviously, these 7s, they're going to cancel out. That's moving it. We're going to have -8x equals +8. We're going to finish with a divide. Remember to divide by -8. That way the negatives and the 8s will cancel out. Answer is going to be x equals, anybody got it? -1, nice job. I heard you say it. Okay, I will say one last thing to clarify, then you're going to give number 6 a shot. When we are trying to move the x's, we need to make sure that we put -13x, -13x. At the bottom here, when we do divide, we are not trying to move the x anymore. We're only trying to move the -8. So don't ever divide by x, okay? I'm telling you, for the entire class, don't divide by x. Dividing by x is kind of like a math no-no. All right, number 6 is a question. You can give it a shot. It looks a lot like the other ones. If you got it, raise your hand. I'll come check you out if you got it right. Again, I can't emphasize enough that these are important notes to take. These are important things to try. Sleepy guy, I get it? All right, try number 6. Try number 6. I got a correct answer over here. Nice job. Try it out. Perfect. Nice job. Got another right answer.
What you want, 4x?
The first thing I would move would be the 4. I agree with you. Try it out while you're waiting. Oh, we have a literal bathroom break for the whole class, like 20 minutes ago. That's what I would do first. That's a perfect answer. Nice. Nice. The organization is everything. Really trying to write neatly. Really trying to make sure it looks like math the whole time. Not like a chicken scratching in the sand. Anybody want to check real quick? All right, I'm going to get back to working. Perfect. Looks great. Perfect. Looks great. Looks excellent. Nice job, everybody. We have done well. Okay. We're almost done with the notes. I'm going to move quickly here. We're going to want to move this 4x with opposites, and I want to make sure that I stack it with the other x's. I'm going to put a line. I'm going to focus on what comes next. 11 minus 4 is 7. Don't forget the x. And I'm going to bring down the -9. I'm going to bring down the equal sign. I'm going to bring down the 2. It's a -2. So don't forget those signs. I was talking with a student today. That was their mistake, like 3 times in a row. Now I'm going to want to move the 9. I'm going to do +9 + 9. -2 + 9 is going to be 7. And I'm going to want to finish with divide. I'm not going to divide by x. I'm only going to divide by the 7. And I'm going to get x equals 1 as the final answer. I'm proud of you if you got that. If your work looks like mine, if you have a line down the middle and you have 2 horizontal lines, 2 lines that go across, and you're nice and organized on the way down, that is exactly where we want to be. Now, don't sleep on me just yet. Number 5 is going to be a question that might give us a little bit of stress, okay? For number 5, I see that we have x and x. Number 5 is back to the easy stuff. We only have 3 terms. We only have a 15, a -4x, and a single x. It's always a good idea. Slap a 1 on that x before we need to move it around so that, that keeps us straight. At this point, I see that there's 2 things that we want to move. We're going to want to move the 15, and we're going to want to move the 1x, okay? And I always recommend that you move the x's first. This question is going to lead to something kind of weird when we do that, okay? This is a question, I'm telling you, if you zone out, you're going to miss it, okay? Do everything you can. Let's lock in for this one more question, okay? When I move this x first, it's a 1x. The opposite is going to be -1x. I'm going to make sure to line that up with the other x's. And my question's almost done. I only got 2 things to move, like we're almost done, okay? We're going to have 15, -4, -1. If you were losing by 4 and they scored another goal, you're going to be losing by 5x. Now, This is exactly where students get stuck, okay? They're feeling good, and then they're thinking, crap, am I starting to divide? Is it a divide part now? I'm still missing things though, okay? First of all, if we're solving equations, what do we need to have the whole question? Equal sign. You have to have an equal sign. Where does this equal sign go? It goes on the line. And if we have an equal sign, we need something on both sides, right? 1 minus 1, that's 0. So what do we put on the right side? You put a nice little 0, okay? Now, I don't think that's difficult. Literally, just 1 minus 1 makes 0. But for whatever reason, zeros, they scare people coming right out of middle school. So big confidence. If 1 minus 1 is 0, then just write a 0. Okay? We still have to move the 15. Minus 15. Minus 15. We like 0 because doing math with zeros is really easy. Minus 5x is equal to, what is 0 minus 15? Obviously, 0 doesn't change a number, so it's still going to be negative 15. If you're not sure, just use Desmos. Finish with divide, and at this point, our question is a nice normal question. X equals 3. All right, as always, before we finish these notes, I just want to point out, if I zoom out on my paper, look at how it looks. It's the same thing every time. This is a repetitive process. Like a factory, you're just going to do the same thing over and over again. Move the x's left, move the numbers right, divide. X is left, numbers right, divide. X is left, numbers right, divide. Okay? It's the same 3 steps over and over and over again. For number 5, it's still the same steps. X is left, numbers right, divide. Just don't be scared of a 0. All right, that is equations with variables on both sides.